Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gannon, alongside my partner, Jack B. Nicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you've not had the chance, go check out our website at justsayingfootball.com and follow us on Instagram at justsayingwjs for article and video updates. Week 12 continues, buddy, at 4 o'clock. Let's just jump right into the AFC West showdown. That is the Los Angeles Chargers heading to Denver to take on the Broncos. This game last year, the first one of their meetings was great. There was a huge comeback by the Broncos. They were down 24-3, and they end up winning the game 31-30. This is a much different Chargers team under Herbert in year two. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos, they've been a shocking team this year. They have, kind of showed up. Their 5-5 record definitely, reflects more than what they've done, especially, their defense, and the Chargers, their offense is a huge story that, last week we saw them dominate, the Steelers on prime time. And, now with, Denver coming out of the bye, it's a very interesting matchup. I'm interested to see, how are Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton going to be implemented into this, as well as, their running backs, Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, is that going to still be a 50-50 split after this? I'm interested. This is a great game, in Denver. I think it's going to be, I hope it's not another, 4-touchdown Austin Eckler game, but that'd be great to see. He had a great game last week too.
Yeah, Austin Eckler's looking legit. I think he's definitely in that category of one of the best backs currently in the NFL, given what he's able to do week in and week out, whether it's in the receiving game or in the running game. And speaking of some other backs in the NFL, the Denver Broncos got two really solid ones in Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, a rookie. Both guys over 500 yards on the season. Gordon, 118 attempts, 522 and 5 touchdowns. Williams, 103, 514, only 1 touchdown. I expect him to be utilized a lot in this game to sort of take off some of the pressure from Teddy, allow him to find his guys. They just signed Cortland Sutton. They just signed Tim Patrick. These guys are going to get involved now with these big contracts. Of course, Jerry Jeudy, an excellent route runner. I'm looking at this team overall, though, and you're looking at the standings of the AFC West and where it's at right now with the Chiefs up just one game over the Chargers and how important this game is for them. Chargers were able to win the second meeting last year after that huge comeback by the Broncos. So I'm going to stick with the Chargers in this one. I think they're going to be able to get the job done. This is a really, really good Chargers team. They know that they can be a playoff team. They could be a deep playoff team, and it starts with beating your division opponents. And this is one of those games. It's a must-win game for you to stay in your division. A loss here, all of a sudden you're tied with the Broncos. You're 2 games back behind the Chiefs. After you just had control of the division. Got to win it. That's what they're going to go out and do.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Chargers, I think it's going to be a tough battle. I think that this is going to be very close between them. As you just mentioned, there's just such a plethora of weapons going on here. For me, it's, the Chargers, can they, score enough points against this Denver defense? It's been a kind of a shocking development, this Denver defense. We thought that, we had high expectations for the Chargers defense, and, they're allowing the 5th most points in the league. The Denver Broncos are allowing the 3rd least amount of points in the league right now, only 18 points a game. The Chargers are going to have to be able to do that, but I'm very interested. These teams are very good in different places. Division rivalry, very familiar, but I do like the Chargers on the road with this one. I agree with you.
Yep. All right. Moving on. My Minnesota Vikings heading to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Last time these two teams played was in the playoffs just a few years ago during the Super Bowl run of the 49ers. We lost. Another fun fact about this game: the first ever game played by both Jimmy Garoppolo for San Francisco and Kirk Cousins for Minnesota were against one another. The Minnesota Vikings won at US Bank Stadium in Minnesota, giving Jimmy his first loss as a 49er and Kirk his first win as a Minnesota Viking. What are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, man. I mean, these are two really fun offenses to watch for me. I really love what the Vikings have been able to do. Another team, like Denver with their 5-5 record doesn't really reflect, what they've been able to do this year, and coming off a huge win last week against the Packers where you saw Aaron Rodgers throw for 4 touchdowns. Definitely things to clean up there in the secondary, but definitely a good opportunity here. I think that Minnesota is going to be capable on defense of shutting down George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk, but we have seen Jimmy Garoppolo have some pretty solid games. He understands this game system, very safe game system. Kyle Shanahan plays high scoring. So I'm expecting a big one in this one for the Vikings, but I'm expecting the Niners to put up a fight. I'm loving this Deebo Samuel and Justin Jefferson, just battle of great wide receivers in this one. I love that. So, the way Kirk's been playing, he's been a very dark horse MVP candidate for some this year. So it's hard for me to bet against the Vikings right now. They're in a must-win situation here on the road.
Yeah, both teams are 5-5. They're currently the 6 and 7 seed in the playoffs. The playoffs ended right now today at this moment. So both of these teams need a big win to try to maybe bump up or give themselves some security with some of the lower teams that don't have enough wins. Yeah. You're talking about Deebo Samuel and Justin Jefferson. 3 weeks ago, the Minnesota Vikings came out and said, we are going to feed Justin Jefferson the ball. And what have they been doing the last 2 weeks? They have been feeding him the ball. 11 targets 2 weeks ago, 10 targets last week, over 140 yards both weeks. He's finding the end zone. Last week against the Packers is absolutely dominant. Dalvin Cook is still running the ball really, really well. I'm going to take the Vikings again. Patrick Peterson played against the 49ers his entire career. He knows how to play against Deebo Samuel, knows how to play against Kyle Shanahan. That's going to be big, considering that we're not going to have Michael Pierce. There's no Daniel Hunter. There's no Dalvin Tomlinson. That means Armon Watts. That means Sheldon Richardson, DJ Wanham. These guys are going to need to step up. Blake Lynch, these guys are going to need to step up in this game and make a play for our defense that has slowly improved as the season continues. And I expect a big, schemy Mike Zimmer day on defense as well.
Yeah, and when you look at just the style of these two teams, both big running teams, but the advantage is with Kirk and Jefferson there. I think that San Francisco has a really good opportunity here if they had a healthier backfield. We haven't been able to see Jeff Wilson get to his point. Elijah Mitchell's still a little banged up, and although that the Vikings defensive line helps with that, it's not enough for the Niners to get the win, in my opinion, at home.
All right. I love to hear that. That's always my favorite thing. Moving on, the Los Angeles Rams going to Green Bay to take on the Packers. A lot of familiarity with these teams. You saw them in the playoffs last year in Lambeau. Rams lost that one, but then the Packers are going to lose in the NFC Championship game. And Matthew Stafford, first 12 years of his career in Detroit, has played Green Bay twice a year. He's currently 7-13 against Green Bay and 3-7 in Lambeau. So I got to ask you right off the bat, with this much, much better team in the Rams that he's now working with compared to any team he's ever had with the Lions, can he finally find a way to get a win in Lambeau and flip the script a little bit?
Yeah, and just before I go into that, there are some roadblocks for Stafford coming out of the bye. He is apparently dealing with knee pain and chronic back pain. At the moment, he is expected to play through it. It's going to be kind of tough with the cold weather. He has been playing kind of in the heat, enjoying the LA sun the last couple of weeks. But for me, I think that this is a big game for him, as you said. I think that he has the capability here, absolutely, to answer your question. That he has the opportunity here to get the win. We have to see. How are they going to get Odell Beckham involved here? They expected him to be number 3. Robert Woods out. They have him number 2. They're expecting that chemistry to pick up pretty quickly. Cooper Kupp against Jair Alexander, very tough matchup. And for some, for me, I really do like the Packers this week if Aaron Rodgers is fully healthy. His toe apparently is not going to be affecting him this week. But we saw what Devontae Adams did last week and how he is back. We saw that Aaron Rodgers is who he is every week, throwing the 4 touchdowns, being capable of doing that. I just love that this is a 7-3 team and a 7 and an 8-3 team in the cold at this point in the season. Like, how do you feel about that?
It doesn't get much better than that. I mean, in Lambeau, cold, always potential to snow because you just never know what's going on there. It's a grass field, so it just slows down the game. The fans always are crazy. I mean, this is what you wanted. And everyone, I think, circled this matchup in particular for later on in the season being one of the best matchups. There's a reason why it's here at 4:00 in the afternoon on the 1:00 time slots, because everyone expected these teams to kind of be here. And that's what makes it so much fun. I'm going to go with the Rams because I'm an anti-Packers guy. I think that what they are going to do more than anything is try to emulate what the Vikings did in the first half. The Vikings last week, if you watch that Packers game, we really kept them in check. That second half got away from us when the Marquez Valdes-Scantling long touchdown all of a sudden tied up the game late, and the back-to-back touchdowns to Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers has finally found a way to sort of work around our defense. And I expect the Rams to kind of do a similar scheme and really try to slow them down as much as possible. And as always, one of the best ways to beat Aaron Rodgers is to ensure that he's not on the field. I expect a big Darrell Henderson day. I expect them to run the ball a lot, smart, safe passes, keep him on the sideline. This defense is banged up for the Packers right now. You can take advantage of that. They're not playing their best. There's still no Jair Alexander. So expect a big Cooper Kupp game. I think that the Rams can get this done in Lambeau. They want to win this one for Matthew Stafford. I'm sure Sean McVay and Ramsey and Aaron Donald also kind of want to beat the Packers after last year's surprise loss in the playoffs. And to be honest, Ramsey called them out. And Davante Adams said, I'm right here. And Davante Adams beat him a bunch in that game last year. I expect Ramsey to try to really lock Davante Adams as best he can today and not let up what happened last year, because he called him out and Davante Adams cooked him.
Yeah. There's always that clip where he's like, stay near me. And then,
Davante, like, I'm right here.
I'm right here. And I mean, I feel the same way this week. I think that, Jalen, we say it every week that he's a matchup nightmare. He takes away half the field from passing offense sometimes. But Sean McVay, we've seen him scheme his way out of these games before. For me, it's really just putting it on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams. This Packers defense that has stepped up over the last couple of weeks. They're the 7th best passing defense in the league, 12th best rushing defense. I really do like what they've been able to do against some really tough matchups. They're the 5th best scoring defense, and that's how you shut down the Rams. You make sure that they don't score, and I think they're going to do that this week.
All right, I like it. And moving on to the last game on the Sunday slot, Sunday Night Football, when the Cleveland Browns head to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. AFC North is weird, man. The Bengals are facing off, and the Browns and the Ravens are facing off. This game last year, we saw, Lamar left the middle of the game in Cleveland, or not the middle, but late in the fourth quarter, and then came back. Everyone thinks he had a poop. Ended up winning the game for them with a long throw to Marquise Brown. But what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one. As you mentioned, we had a huge matchup the last time we saw these two teams going back. Kareem Hunt is expected to play for Cleveland, which is going to be a huge boost for them. We have seen them, take some injury hits this year, and getting a good guy like that back can, make a lot of difference in their offense. Helps Nick Chubb, helps Baker Mayfield. For me, I'm really looking at this Ravens team. We have seen them in some scenarios this year. The way that they've been able to win games out the gate, the way that they've lost games. They lost to Miami a couple of weeks ago, but it's a really interesting thing. They were able to get out of the game last week with Huntley. Their backup, since Lamar wasn't able to play last week. Lamar should be good to go this week. But
reports are positive.
Yeah, reports are positive. And what I'm looking at there right now, like you said, just a divisional matchup right now. The Ravens at home. We've been to that stadium. We know what it's like when they are rowdy. And Lamar, you gotta give it to him. I mean, he's got almost 2,500 passing yards through the air and almost 700 on the ground right now. About 640 at the moment. I mean, how do you stop this guy?
I don't know if there's a way. I mean, everyone in the offseason was like, we finally found a way to stop Lamar Jackson. And then he's come out this year and said, no, you haven't. So I'm looking at this game, man. I think what's the biggest question mark is the Browns offense. And it's great that they're getting Hunt back and they got Chubb back, but they have not been passing the ball efficiently. And part of that is just because your quarterback is banged up. I mean, you can't really ask a guy who has a back injury, a leg injury, a shoulder injury to go out there and be able to throw the ball 40 times, 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like it won't happen. And Mayfield, this has not been his season. And I don't like that there's too many question marks around that offense. To me, it's too worrisome against a pretty solid Ravens defense and up against a really great Ravens offense. I think that the Browns are going to be in this game because it's a divisional game for sure. And those games are usually always pretty intense and they'll keep it tight. And I think that defense will find a way to get some turnovers and allow them to put up field goals and points. And maybe even there's a defensive touchdown, things like that. But the consistency of the Ravens offense, getting Lamar Jackson back, I trust a lot more than I do with what the Browns offense can do. And even if this is a 10-10 game coming to the last 5 minutes, I trust Lamar Jackson with the ball in his hand more than I do with Baker Mayfield right now. Yeah. And again, it's solely just because of all the injuries. He has not been very well protected. He's been taking tons of big hits. And it's been tough to watch him play and not play very well and not make the throws we've seen him make over the last few years of his career.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's been a top option for them, young guy, he may be banged up in this game. It really just, it's the element of them having to lean too heavy on their run game for me. Like you said, with the way Baker is playing right now, it's not what you want to see. He's not the guy that he was last year. As you said, it's really due to the injuries. And I mean, I do believe that because these teams are top 10 rushing defenses and top 5 rushing offenses, that this is going to try to be, very on the ground game, not a high scoring, not a big play kind of game. But like you said, you do trust Lamar for the sense that, he has Mark Andrews, he has Marquise Brown, Rashad Bateman's there. He has a better sense of weapons and health right now where it's just so hard to bet against them. So I agree.
Yeah. It's funny that we're talking about health with the Ravens team, considering how the very start to their season started with all the injuries to the running back position. Then you had Marcus Peters go down. So it's so funny that we're talking about injuries to teams, and yet you have a Ravens team that is 7-3, and they are in the thick of the playoffs, in the thick of winning the AFC North possibly. And one, at the very start of the season, everyone was like, well, this might be a very different Ravens team because of all these injuries. And here they are playing great. It's funny to see.
I love that.
You gotta love it. Yeah, next man up mentality. And Freeman and Latavius Murray for their running backs have been solid. I think if you are in fantasy and you need a running back, go get Freeman. I mean, he's been scoring touchdowns. So.
Yeah, a lot of people have been straying away from them in fantasy, and it's kind of interesting because we're going to hit that point soon where at the end of the season they're going to figure out who their guys, and Freeman is looking like he's doing the best of what he's got right now. If that guy gets 20 touches a game, he could be Atlanta Falcons. Devonta Freeman, you never know.
Look, it ain't pretty, but they're getting the ball downfield and they're moving the ball downfield through their running back by committee.
Absolutely.
And you'll take it when you're 7-3 and you're in the thick of the playoffs. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that was all the time that we have. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah, guys, enjoy the game. It's going to be a great slate here in the late afternoon. Enjoy them. Thank you guys for checking us out. JustSayingFootball.com, Just Saying Football on YouTube, and Just Saying No GWJS on Instagram for all your video and article updates. Thank you guys for watching.
Enjoy.